Welcome to MLS Round-Up from We Are Soccer. I'm Craig Hearn, and as usual, I'm joined by Soccer Syndicate scout Brooks Lambier. Today, Brooks and I are going to be talking about the Héctor Herrera signing for Houston, and then Maximo Carrizo, the youngest signing in MLS history at 14 years old. We're going to dive into that a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the games that happened at MLS opening weekend, some of the games that stuck out to Brooks and I, and then we'll finish up with if John Brooks could be heading to the MLS, and if so, where would be a good landing spot? All right, Brooks, lots to get to today, as you can see. How have you been, man? We're in the middle of the week. It's kind of, the sun's coming out. The springs looks like it might be coming here in Michigan, hopefully soon. But how are you, and how's the week treating you, my friend?
Oh, good. Been busy. Soccer. So, I mean, obviously, we watched a bunch of soccer this weekend as we were talking before we started filming this, and MLS and Bundesliga and all that fun stuff. So, it's fun to have soccer back. I mean, we can literally waste an entire weekend and 2 whole days of just watching soccer in every possible league that ESPN Plus, gives us, right?
I mean, man, this weekend was absolutely nuts for me. Besides the 2 soccer games my kids had, I watched soccer on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I watched 15 pro games, maybe more, across 4 different leagues. So I know I'm not soccered out, but my wife was pretty upset about that. So yeah. All right, man. I do want to quickly note that this video is going to be today brought to you by Tim Merritt with Ross Mortgage. Tim Merritt has, with Ross Mortgage, over 70 years mortgage lending experience. You can depend on Ross Mortgage for competitive rates, quality service, fast response, and no surprises. They handle your transaction from application to closing. You'll find their information below. So if you're looking to refinance or if you're looking for a new mortgage, jump in and hit up Tim Merritt at Ross Mortgage. All right, Brooks, the big news that's come out in the last day here, Héctor Herrera, Mexican national team captain, is now going to be, he's signed a pre-contract with the Houston Dynamo. I want to read something real quick, so I apologize. I'm going to be looking down. Yep. Houston Dynamo FC have signed Mexican national team captain Héctor Herrera to a pre-contract through the 2024 season with an option for 2025. The club announced Herrera will join the Dynamo this summer as a designated player pending receipt of his international transfer certificate and P1 visa. The 31-year-old is currently under contract with the defending La Liga champions Atletico Madrid and will finish the season with the Spanish Giants as they continue their campaign in UEFA Champions League and La Liga. I actually just watched them play this past weekend, and I'm not kidding. It crossed my mind. He's 31. He's done a hell of a job in La Liga and with Atletico. It's at some point he's going to say, I'm going to change leagues here and slow it down a bit. I thought maybe you just head straight into Liga MX, but I figured maybe there's a chance at MLS. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, we get this news today that Houston Dynamo have signed him. That's a great signing. That is a phenomenal signing for Houston, is it not?
Yes, it is a phenomenal signing. And if anyone's listening to anything that Pat Onstead has said, whether it's via radio show, podcasts, news articles, quotes in the news articles, is that being in Houston and being so close to Mexico, signing a player of that caliber from either Liga MX or that is with the Mexican national team or has been a big part of the Mexican national team with the, just with the Hispanic community down in Houston is something they wanted to do. They wanted to make a signing that, with the player that represents the community, much like LAFC did with Carlos Vela. Yeah. Someone that can relate to the community and draw fans and be a solid person for that community. So that looks like what Houston's doing with Héctor Herrera. Pat just, he wants to bring the Houston Dynamo back to where they were when he played with them. And listen, Houston was one of the best teams in the early 2000s. I mean, they were making it to Western Conference Finals, MLS Cups, always in there for US Open Cups. It's just kind of slipped the past couple of years. And no joke, this new owner that they have, who's a real estate guy who bought the team and obviously Pat stepping into the GM and getting rid of the old one, they've really, they're willing to spend money. They're willing to spend money and they're willing to do what it takes to put a team on the field that draws fans and makes them contenders for the Western Conference. So this is great for Houston, and this is what we want to see. And it's not. I wouldn't say this is like Atlanta United or LA Galaxy money we're talking about. Buying top European EPL players and such, and or in this instance Atlanta going after the South American players, but it's making smart moves with money that bring players in that can contribute to the team. Now they probably need a few guys around Héctor Herrera. I think the one thing people underestimate about MLS is they don't understand, what you should go watch a game live, is how athletic and fast it is. It is very athletic and fast. It may not be as super technical as La Liga or very, I mean, there are coaches that are big on formation and tactics, like the Serie A and La Liga, but it's not as technical as EPL. But it'll be a difficult league, and you're gonna have to surround Hector with players that help him and can cover ground and let Hector do what he does and create and make plays. So
it's going to take him a couple of weeks, couple of months maybe to get I don't want to say up to speed with the MLS, but just the difference that it is compared to La Liga, where he's been for the last several years.
Yep.
It's like you said, it's a little less technical than La Liga, but it's probably more athletic and a little bit more physical than the Liga for sure. Yep. But a great signing nonetheless. And it does show the ambition that new owner and Pat Onstad do have in Houston. So great signing. Anytime you can pick up a leader like Héctor Herrera, who's been the captain of the Mexican national team for the last couple of years, that's a great signing. So good for them. It's good to see them, like you said, coming back a little bit, looking to put a quality team on the field and compete again, because man, for the last couple of years, it's been poor. It's been poor down there in Houston.
Yeah, and it's kind of been a shocker. Like last year, we talked about the Texas teams finishing at the bottom. I mean, It's very unlikely FC Dallas usually makes the playoffs or finishes closer, towards the middle of the pack. And there's another one that probably has started to spend a little more. But it'd be nice to see all three Texas teams, getting better. Austin FC in their second year obviously it'll be difficult, but that'll take some time, but it'd be nice to see all three Texas teams, especially bringing in homegrowns and growing the game. And, especially with the soccer communities in Texas,
Yep. Well, speaking of homegrown players, New York City FC have signed 14-year-old midfielder Maximo Carrizo as a homegrown player. They announced this week, 14 years old. 14 years old. He now becomes the youngest ever player to sign in MLS history, in signing history. So we'll put this graphic up right here. As you can see, Maximo Carrizo, 14 years old, 0 days. Axel Key, 14 years, 15 days. And then, as we all know, everybody remembers, Freddie Adu, 14 years, 168 days old, excuse me. And then a bunch of other players we can kind of run through if we need to. But this is young, man. 14-year-old. Do you expect him to jump right in and start playing with the first team and compete in the MLS?
No, I don't. I don't expect this kid to start and jump in. I mean, if anyone has seen Axel Kai play for RSL, whether it was the MLS Next playoffs last year, which his team won the 15 level, or they saw a video in that match, because you can find that was live streamed on MLS's website. Might be on YouTube, and he's gotten some time with RSL Monarchs. I don't see. And he hasn't stepped into the first team, Max. So I don't see Maximo, getting into that first team. I mean, just look at the caliber of players they have. And I mean, 14 years old. I mean, listen, Freddie Adu, if anyone, just saw him when he played or has listened to the podcast Grant Wall did on him and just talking about the history and the career of Freddie Adu, or watch videos of you on YouTube of him with the national team and DC United and whatnot. Freddie was a very athletic and special player, but even he needed development at that age. And I think that's where we have this system within MLS where he has an academy system. At 14, he can go play with the 17s. And then, when he plays up with the 17s, then he can go play with New York City FC too, the reserve team, or whatever they're going to call it. So this is important that we have this pyramid, and maybe by 17 he can then jump in with the first team, right?
Let me ask you, because this was asked of me the other day, and I won't give you my answer what I said, but let me ask you, the same question was given to me. Why did they sign him at 14 years old? What was the point? Why didn't they let him just keep developing? What was the point of offering him a contract and locking him down?
I guess that's between the agent and the team, right?
Well,
I
yes.
mean, I'm gonna guess this. I'm gonna guess because New York City FC has something with the City Group that maybe this comes into play with something that maybe by 18, if they think he's like this, he can then be bought by Citigroup and move over to Man City or another part. Sure. There's actually a kid named Alex Acala who's with the LA Galaxy Academy. He's they call him the Mexican Messi. You should see him. If anyone wants to watch a video on this kid, like they've got YouTube video.
I'm gonna check him out.
Yeah, check him out. He's like 15, 16, plays up. He's always played up. He's played up in his Mexican youth national team days as well. And there's rumors that he signed with Citigroup, and when he's 18, he's going to head over to Man City. So there's a rumor there with Alex Acala. But I'm guessing if they sign him at 14, maybe that's in the works, that maybe Citigroup has come over and say, hey, this kid's got something to keep developing in the right way. We'll buy him at 18 from you.
Does it have anything to do with potential? They've seen the potential in the kid and they realize that, listen, if we don't lock him up, someone else is going to come knocking. There are big clubs in this world. And as we know, all these other big clubs, they do scout over here. Bundesliga is notorious for coming in and taking the young American kids back to Germany, right? So the EPL's been doing it. The English Championship's been doing it. La Liga's done it. La Liga, Serie A. I mean, there are big clubs and big leagues in the world who are scouting all over now. So do you think one of the main reasons that NYCFC signed him and locked him up in a contract was because they see the potential and they're probably afraid another club and another league will come and grab him?
Yeah, no, I do. And I mean, they would get something for him, I think, even if they didn't sign him, but obviously signing him to a contract, they'd get a little more out of it. And then you incorporate the transfer fee. And if he's sold on to the second club, you get some percentage of that. And, for sure, I do. And just kind of go through some of the names just quickly on this list. We have Emmanuel Ochoa, 14 years, 191 days. He's within the San Jose Academy, a goalkeeper, so he's working his way up. Gabriel Slonina, the Chicago Fire starting goalkeeper, signed at 14 years and 297 days. He's I think he's 17, 18 now. He's been in with the U.S. men's national team. Also, Poland has given him a look to jump in with their national team. Bento Estrella, the NYRB Academy player, playing with the first team in training and also NYRB 2. Joe Scally, another NYCFC kid, as we know, he's with Gladbach. Yep. So that's another big. He's been really pushed to come into play outside back for the men's national team. Gianluca Busio for Sporting KC signed at 15 years old, 89 days.
Now he's moved over to Venezia in Serie A.
Yep. And then the last one on this list, Cade Cowell, 15 years, 102 days. He obviously starts and plays a lot with San Jose Earthquakes. So most of these have been successful. There haven't been very many duds on this list. So they've been doing something and contributing.
Yep. 100% agree. It's a good list, man. If you're on that list, you got a career going. And like we said, there's two, three of those players who are in the national teams. All right, let's jump in. It was opening weekend of MLS. You and I did an MLS Round-Up last week. Some of the games we're looking forward to. I know you watched a lot of them. I watched a lot of them. We texted back and forth about some of the goals, about some of the games, some of the good, some of the bad. I think we've got 3 or 4 or 5 games here we can quickly chat about. Let's start off with the LAFC Colorado game. I was very intrigued with this one because LAFC were ranked 11th in the power rankings by MLS before the weekend started. And about 2 days before the games kicked off, MGM Bet came out and said they are going to be the number 1 ranked team, or the number 1 team that they think is going to go and win the MLS championship. So my mind was blown a little bit. So I tuned in to watch that game. LAFC looked really good. Carlos Vela with a hat trick. Colorado looked not like Colorado of last year or previous years. They looked a little out of sorts, like they were still getting up to speed on things, but LAFC could have had a couple more goals. They ended up winning 3-0. A good game. Carlos Vela, he is due to sign a new contract. They're negotiating right now. It looks like he's going to sign a new contract because his current one ends in June. It'll get done. Especially you can see all the praise right now on social media that LAFC is putting on his shoulders, and the king of this, and oh my gosh, that. It's fun to watch, but they're just trying to I sauce him up a little bit and get him to sign that contract, I feel.
Yes.
The Portland New England game, I know we both watched this. 2-2, what were your thoughts on Portland and New England?
I thought it was, so going into the game, I think I sent you a text that I was very unsure of what was going to happen. I mean, listen, Portland doesn't have their 2 starting center backs in Zuparich and Mabiala. You have Van Rankin and Bravo who were on the back line last year, but you're putting in Bill Tuiloma and then a guy Portland drafted a few years ago out of West Point, Zach McGraw, who they like. He's an athlete, but he hasn't had a lot of time. Because unfortunately there was no second team for him to play a lot of minutes. So there was a lot of training. He got in certain matches, but he didn't have a lot of playing time besides preseason and maybe some stuff last year, a few games here and there last year. And then you have a new goalkeeper, Ivasic, I think is his name. No more Steve Clark. So that's all new. So there was a lot of people missing from last year's team in the back line. And then no Diego Valeri anymore. He's gone. Not that he was playing a lot of time, he had a lot of time, but within the clubhouse and the group, they had the Blanco contract negotiations that were going a little. They were like, is he a DP player? Do we want to sign him? The injury picked up last year. Is it worse than it actually? Than people they thought last year. That's what I do it for 2 years and. You have Diego Chara, who's obviously you're older, still covering ground, but there's a lot of older players within the team. And you look at this New England team with Brandon Bye, Dwan Jones, Kessler didn't play, but you had Gonzalez and Farrell back there. And, then you had Altidore coming off the bench and Busca. And you had Holster. And you have this team of that won Supporter Shield last year. And I was just thinking, I don't know how this is going to go, but Portland at home, anything can happen. And boy, did this game have transition the whole time. And listen, it wasn't the sexiest game with the passing and everything, but I will say this, when Portland get in the final third and they can combine at the top of the box, they create chances to slip guys through or get shots. And it was a fun game to watch. It was up and down, Brandon Bye with the great first goal off the header. And then, I think it went 1-0. I'm not mistaken. I think it was 1-0 at halftime.
I think so. Yeah.
And then went in, and then was it Portland then scored, and then obviously Revs answer back, and then the bicycle goal kick from Jimmy Chara. Yeah.
Man, what an absolutely phenomenal goal from Jimmy Chara, man. What a great goal. I could not believe he actually connected it. Phenomenal goal. We tweeted about it. It just, oh man, that made my night watching that goal. That just, I don't know, goal of the day for me. Maybe goal of the weekend. Jimmy Chara with a great
maybe bicycle. Goal of the year possibly.
Yeah, it's got to be up for contender for sure. And it was only day one. Day one of MLS, and we already have a goal of the year contender. Phenomenal. If you guys haven't seen that goal, Jimmy Chara, Google that or YouTube it, and what a great bicycle kick goal.
It was a great goal, though. I would say, now I remember the second goal was Leget's. That was a great combination of him to finish with his left foot to curl it to the far. Yeah. That was a class finish right there.
That was nice. And that's why I'm a huge Sebastian Lletget fan. I don't know why people rag on him so much. I actually, he's a workhorse, man. He works and he's got a nice touch. And occasionally he'll put the ball in the back of the net for you. I think it was a great signing by New England. Great signing.
Mm-hmm. So that was a great game. If anyone watch highlights or go back on ESPN Plus or no, that was on Fox. That game was.
That was the main one on Fox. Yeah,
that was on Fox. So if they have, if you have Fox, the app or whatever, you can find it. Go watch it. It was great. And watch the bicycle kick goal.
Agreed. Yeah, watch the bicycle kick goal, but watch the rest of the highlights because it was a good game. Yeah. A game that we both kind of tuned in to watch a little bit because it featured a brand new player here in the MLS, Shaqiri. Was the Miami and Chicago game. If we're being very honest here, this is 2 average to below average teams. I know I've seen Miami have been projected to finish last or close to last in the East. I don't know. I wasn't thrilled with this game. It was a little bit of back and forth. You could see the quality that Shaqiri brought, in my opinion, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed with how things work and the quality in the MLS. What were your overall thoughts on the Miami-Chicago game?
You can definitely tell there's a little bit of a oomph, like another level in the Chicago locker room and on the field that hey, we have this guy in Shaqiri that can, again, like I've talked about before with the Switzerland national team, they let him roam and do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And that's what Chicago said. Listen, you roam, you do whatever you want. You get into pockets, you make people decide the defenders decide what they want to do. You slip guys through. I mean, he was slipping guys through. Yeah. He was turning and hitting. He was in dangerous areas the whole entire game. And it's unfortunate. Chicago should have won that match but credit to Diop for standing on his head and making a lot of saves for Miami.
Yeah, he was player of the match for Miami for sure. Great game by him.
Yeah, but Shaboko, I think him and Shaqiri are gonna have to learn, because Shaboko loves to move too. So it's gonna take some time for them to understand, Shaqiri to understand, Shaboko's movements.
Sure.
And the young Mexican, the Torres from Atlas, who's coming in, won't be until May. So that's kind of a shocker for how much money they paid for him, and he's not going to be in right away. I think it was like $5 million they bought him for. So, I mean, if I bought some for $5 million, I think I want him in,
now. Yes, yesterday. I want him in shape and yesterday for sure.
Exactly. Not in May. So, but hey, listen, it's something, right? For Chicago fans to get out to Soldier Field or to watch or to support the club. Hey, we're starting to invest.
Yeah.
We signed our draft pick, Kendall Burks, who looks like he'll play with the first team as an outside back, but we've got some homegrown guys in there with Pineda, Gutierrez on the bench, Slonina, and a goalkeeper. So they have pieces. They just have to. It's going to be interesting to see if Ezra the head coach can find the right combination of players to go in the formation to make them successful.
Yeah.
So Miami, it's going to be an ugly season. I think it's going to be sitting back defending, and they can't do much with the sanctions they've been hit with, because unfortunately, having that fourth DP and not getting rid of them in time, and it's going to hurt them. So
they're going to struggle this year. It's going to be a grind it out and see how they do, but we're not expecting much from Miami there.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, we'll move on to Atlanta versus Sporting KC, 3-1 to Atlanta. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on this one. I didn't get a chance to. This is one of the games I did not get a chance to that I'm a little bit regretting, because apparently it was a good one.
Yeah, it was. I didn't watch a lot of it. I should have watched more of Atlanta last year when Pineda came over from Seattle and took over for Heinze, and he really turned that club around. And there was a stat that they had mentioned on Fox FS1 that I think Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, was from the second half of last season had like the second most points earned. They had like 32 or 35.
Oh.
And Portland was on there, and someone beat them with 37. It wasn't much of a difference, but you can see with how Pineda and the players they brought in that it's changed a bit. The culture's changed. It looks like people are playing a little more loose. There's some creativity. I was really impressed that, you're playing a back line with Andrew Gutman, the Matt Kerman Trophy winner from Indiana, who they loaned out last year to NYRB. And obviously they sold George Bello overseas. And, I rate Gutman better than Bello. I think that's fine that they did that. Whatever, someone wanted him, sell him, that's fine.
Sure.
Gutman, Miles Robinson, another kid out of Syracuse, a super draft pick that was a GA player. Then you put the homegrown George Campbell, who was going to go to the University of Maryland and decommitted and signed a homegrown contract. And then, God, who was the right back? I can't remember who played in the right back spot, but I mean, have that back line with Brad Guzan, and then your DPs playing. It was the Rujo guy with great first goal to chip the keeper, but then he hurt his hamstring. Bring on Dom Dwyer, who has really been irrelevant since his SKC days when I think he had 24 goals one year. got bought by Orlando for at that time was the most ever an MLS team paid for another player from another MLS team in transfer money. And he just really struggled, couldn't cut it at TFC. It was great to see Dom get in that game and score a goal and kind of, because Atlanta's never had a second striker behind Joseph Martinez. It's really been Joseph and who can bring off the bench to score goals. So, but SKC created chances. But again, it's this thing where SKC plays very pretty soccer, but they don't convert on their chances with the caliber of players they have. And listen, Shallowy was good. So was Graham Zuzi at outside back and Johnny Russell. And I just don't know if Kyrie Shelton is that center forward, for that's going to get you goals and it's going to really create for you. It just seems like Shallowy and Russell are creating everything, and Espinoza gets forward. And, so that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone loves SKC in those power rankings, but it just looks like something's missing. And I'm not trying to, I'm trying to pick on Peter Vermees, but is it you've been there too long and there needs to be a change or something? There needs to be an addition or subtraction from the team. So they have to figure out something,
Yeah. Well, it's week 1, so maybe they've got something figured out. They just haven't been able to put it together yet. We'll see as they come up into the second game of the season. Last game of the weekend that we'll talk about, Seattle versus Nashville. Seattle winning 2-1 there. I believe that was 2-1. For some reason that's not ringing a bell. So again, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It was 1-0 Nashville. Yeah. Sorry, I had that written down on. I even watched that game from Lumen Fields. The field looked, the stands looked empty, but there was still 30,000 people there because they play in at Lumen Field in Seattle. Rainy game. Made it looked cold to be playing in. What a game, man. I really enjoyed this game as a defensive battle, but I'm a huge Walker Zimmerman fan. I love how he controls that back line. I love how he moves. I enjoyed this game for some reason. I don't know why, a defensive battle, and I usually don't enjoy those type of games. What were your thoughts on the Nashville victory there up in Seattle?
Yeah, I thought for how much, what I said last week when we talked about the rankings too with Nashville and the rankings is that they're going to have to find a way. I think I don't think they're going to go on that draw streak where they're going to draw a bunch of games and, they're not going to get 19 draws again this year. They have to find a way to win 1-0, or to win 2-1 or 2-0. Like, that's going to be the MO this year for them. That, we defend well, we're hard to break down. So that's how they have to find games. I thought Dax McCarty was brilliant at times. Yeah. For an MLS veteran of his age, he still got it. He can still do the tricks, and him and Sean Davis. Sean can roam around a little more. And it was kind of really a steal. Signing Sean Davis as a free agent that NYRB didn't sign him. Because he was so important for their midfield. Godoy was good. Covering ground. He's kind of the guy that's going to be the asshole in the midfield to make tackles, to go in hard, to challenge. Not that Dax won't do that or Sean, but it was good. It was, and they didn't have to play a 5-back. They played a 4-back, Nashville. And, it was weird because for me too, is Seattle was so big on this 3-5-2 last year, now you got Jordan Morris back. Now you have other guys in, they go back to the 4-2-3-1. And it I don't know, it looks a little different. It's like guys have to figure out how to play with Jordan again. And not that they don't know how to, but he's just been out for so long, So, but Seattle will be dangerous. Stefan Fry, he made some big saves in that game.
Yeah.
And Rui, I don't think Rui Diaz played. I think he sat out that game, if I'm not mistaken. So
I don't see Seattle having a problem. I think it was just a tough game, the first game, in there. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be more than okay. You and I have said that they're going to be one of the better teams in the league again this year. So you're right. Seattle going to be good. Are Nashville going to be I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I think they're going to convert a lot of those draws that they had last year. It was 19 of them. They're going to convert this year, those draws into wins. So I think they'll be a lot better. So agree 100% with you there.
Yeah. Mukhtar was good. That's the key is, can Mukhtar be like what he was last year?
Can he be, in your opinion, can he be the Golden Boot winner? Can he Can he put, because what did he finish, second or third last year or something like that?
Yeah, he was up there.
Do you think he can do it this year? Do you think he can take that crown of the Golden Boot?
I think they need him to get towards that level, towards close to Castellanos last year, if they want to win more games and get more points. Because, I mean, as we know, Columbus, started off well against Vancouver, and it's there were some teams last year, a lot of players hurt that were probably better than they actually showed or where they finished last year, and they're going to need him to get towards Castellanos or wherever the Golden Boot, to be up there with the Golden Boot guy. To win, to get 3 points for some matches, but he can do it. It's just they may need another guy to bring in the summertime, maybe to help him out a little bit. So
sure. All right. Well, listen, Brooks, before we finish up, we got to answer a question that came in on the We Are Soccer Facebook group today. Bundesliga Chat Time video host Nate Janulis put this out there, said John Brooks, U.S. men's national team player John Brooks, who's playing at Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga, is on the lookout and is potentially rumored to be moving to the MLS. He has been dropped by Greg Berhalter in the U.S. men's national team after some horrendous games and mistakes he made early in qualifying. He has not been in camp recently in the last couple of windows because of those mistakes. So he's looking to get his career back on track. Moving to the MLS might be the way for him to do that because, listen, there's 10 games left in the Bundesliga season. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to prove his worth there. So moving to the MLS, playing through the summer in front of Greg Berhalter, showing his worth, potentially getting on that plane to Qatar 2022. Fingers crossed the USA make it. But where are some potential landing spots for center back John Brooks to land?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out teams that need center back help. And a lot of these teams, are probably bottom. There's an expansion team in there. And, I think there's a team that, showed all right this first week that, maybe needs a little depth. I'm not sure if they're going to have international spots though for him. So I think the first team we can talk about is FC Cincy. I mean, you have what Jeff Cameron back there, but when you have to throw, you have to throw Alvis Powell in the center back spot, which he's never really been comfortable with, even in the 3-back. He's always been an outside back that's, he's super athletic. And they conceded 5 goals this past week against Austin. So they need help in the back line.
They definitely need help. Yeah. FC Cincy definitely need help letting in 5 goals to Austin FC in that first game. You were 100% correct. All right. So FC Cincinnati, a good option.
Yeah.
Give me 2 more. Two more teams you think he could land?
Okay. So call me crazy, but I think TFC could be a very interesting spot. They would have to open up the international slot because they consider Canadians domestic and Americans international. That's just how the Canadian teams are when they sign guys. But
understood.
I don't know if Chris Mavinga is the right guy for Bob Bradley. I mean, they have Saucedo, who they got from Liga MX, who's an American, and he's with the Mexican national team. But I think if you stick John Brooks and Saucedo back there, it'd be really interesting. Maybe you can get away with a 3-back with maybe Mavinga playing, in the center of them just to win balls. Because I mean, Bob Bradley has played a 3-back. He played at LAFC, a 3-back. So, they have Insigne come in. I don't know if they have enough money to do that. They'd probably have to move players or do something. But I think that would be a very interesting spot because I think they need a left center back there.
Okay. Toronto is not a team I thought you were going to mention. So that's an interesting, I like that. Okay. All right.
2 more teams for me. So I think Charlotte will, I mean, you have Christian Fuchs, but I think, you need another experienced player in that back line. Losing 3-0 to DC United. I didn't watch that game. I think you did. I think you said that they didn't look very comfortable.
Charlotte looked terrible, to be honest. And they had almost a flat back 5. They were like, I don't even know what the lineup was. It was nutty. They were sitting back. Charlotte FC are going to struggle this year. So bringing someone with the leadership of John Brooks in could definitely help. Hopefully they can get away from a flat 5. But yeah, that's a potential landing spot absolutely for John Brooks.
Yep. And then my last team, which I think it'd be interesting. Vancouver.
Okay.
Jake, they've tried to stick Jake Nerwinski back there, the former UConn Husky who they drafted, who's been outside back, played left back and right back for him.
Mhm.
I just don't know if he can cut it at the center back spot. He's just too reckless. I mean, stupid foul. I mean, listen, I think it was Chris Penso was rough in that game, the Columbus Vancouver game. And it was a soft first yellow card, but it was a stupid second yellow card he got. He completely grabbed the guy that was breaking away that, looked like he might have beat him. So he prevented a goal. So he got the yellow card. That was his second yellow. And it's just kind of been a thing with Nerwinski. I feel like, yellow cards accumulation, gotten, double yellows and reds. So I just don't know if he can do it, but they didn't play Youngworth back there, but they have Tristan Blackman, who is an interesting one, and Youngworth. Does John Brooks make it, and they have a young guy, that 22-year-old that played in the middle of the back three. So I don't know, maybe he makes some moves there and John Brooks steps in there, but I think that can secure some stuff there. And then, that would, and they have a young goalkeeper, Hasal, that really needs, a back line in front of him because he needs defenders to block shots and to control the back line. Cause I'm not sure if he's there yet at his young age of 18 or 19. So that's an interesting one for me. They need attacking players as well, Vancouver, but I'm just kind of looking, just watching the past games. I think, those 4 teams for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely some options for him. And now that the rumors there, I do expect that to happen at some point. As I said, there's only 10 games left in that Bundesliga season. So it's coming to an end there, his time in the Bundesliga for John Brooks. We'll see what happens. All right, Brooks, my man, thank you so much. Your insight and knowledge is very valuable. We very much appreciate it as usual. And listen, there's a full slate of games on again this weekend. So get that couch warmed up, get the popcorn ready, and we'll watch a lot more soccer and talk about it next week on MLS Roundup.
Yes. Cheers, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers, buddy.